Hi everyone, it's Keeks, and I got a very interesting topic in store for y'all today. I'm talking about being a male nurse, some of the perks, some of the biases, and some of the things I just didn't realize when I first got started. So let's get into it. So male nurses. Okay, just to start off, with all the gender equality out there, nursing still has quite a ways to go. The last national stats showed 9% were only male nurses. That's it. Currently, my unit only has 5 male nurses right now. That's including myself. 4 on the days and just only 1 at night. We used to have a little bit more, but they've moved on to other areas. But really, when I first came onto the unit, there was absolutely no male nurses. Me and one other guy, we went into orientation, started on the same day together. And then we gained a little bit more, and we have a little bit more traction. But really, we're the minority here. But other than that, I'm sure everybody already knew that male nurses is kind of like that unicorn nurse that's out there. You know, we're not as popular as you see the female nurses. So to start off with, I just want to get out of the way some of the pet peeves that pretty much every male nurse has to deal with. First one, of course, is maybe we were just not smart enough, or we just couldn't get into medical school, so we became a nurse. It's not the case. You know, a lot of us came into nursing specifically to become a nurse. For different reasons, of course, we chose this profession, but most of us don't actually look at medical school as being, you know, what our plan was for the future. Secondly, we're always asked, are we gay? Being in a female predominant field, being effeminate or not fully a man is kind of a bad connotation that's getting put out there. Not to say that there isn't any gay nurses, but for myself and all the staff on my unit, we are straight heterosexual males. And so for when we get called that, it kind of is like a question of like, what century are we living in? Really, this is the 21st century, and it's 2019, about to be 2020 really, and you're still asking this question, are we gay for being a nurse? It's that's something that's got to change. So I do want to go over some of the perks that's involved with being a male nurse. So first off, you are kind of a little bit of a celebrity when it comes to be on the unit. You know, people tend to have a tendency to notice you, remember your name a little bit better. You stand out a little bit more of the crowd. When I first started, there was 3 nurses that worked there that were Caucasian and blonde, and they all got them mixed up. And they didn't look anything alike, which is kind of crazy. But for me and from some of the other ones, we usually get recognized a little bit better. You know, people remember our names, people come looking for us, they know who we are. You know, we stand out quite a bit more. Secondly, you become kind of a commodity a lot of times when it comes to lifting patients, moving patients, and some of the heavier patient loads you have a tendency to get. And we'll get into that here in a little bit, but you get noticed and you get recognized for it usually. Sometimes being a male nurse does come with its issues, and a lot of that comes with maybe the patient doesn't really feel comfortable with you. And that could be a lot of times maybe an elderly female doesn't want you to do a skin assessment. Sometimes we have to check, you know, your bottom. We have to check for your make sure you don't have any pressure ulcers, make sure there's no skin tears, do a full body head to toe assessment. And you know, some of these older females really don't like you coming in and looking over their body for good reason. You know, it's a different culture, and we have to kind of really abide by that preference really. So sometimes if there's somebody elderly and they don't feel comfortable, I will ask another nurse to help me out with that, or sometimes we'll just change assignments. You know, give and take is a really important thing in nursing. The other thing is we might have some combative patients, and you have a tendency to get those patients. You know, our workloads are a little bit different in the way that they give us and handle our patients. So when the assignment comes around in the morning, you can almost guarantee that the male nurse is usually going to get the heavier patient, as far as maybe they're a little bit more combative, maybe they need a little bit more stern talking to. At times we'll have some very abusive, verbally and physically abusive patients in the hospital. And as a male nurse, I do get along with my female coworkers, and I don't mind taking those assignments, mainly because they've become my family. They are my coworkers, they're my friends, and I don't want them talking to them that way. I don't want them becoming like physically abusive, and I know I can handle that. And sometimes I'll go in there and I kind of have to set the standard for, this is how we're going to be treated in this unit. And I don't mind putting my foot down with a patient and being stern. There's a difference between being stern and still providing care and just not letting them run over you. I mean, we're all human. We do not like to be mistreated. We do not like to be talked to a certain way. And unfortunately, patient families and patients don't see us as human beings. They see us, oh, well, you got into the field, and that's pretty much what you have to deal with. And that shouldn't be the case. We're here to help you out. Now, of course, going back to that, me being a correctional nurse, I am a little bit more stern, so I do not have a problem taking these patients. And when it comes to it, I actually understand how to handle the opiate crisis a little bit better. I understand how to handle management on when it comes to, we need to get up and walk after a surgery. We need to take these steps. We need to get these respirations in. We have to be a little bit more firm when it comes to the patient care, because a lot of times if we just leave a patient sitting, they can develop pneumonia, they can develop low blood flow to those areas where their wounds are, and it's not helping them any. So the caring side is to actually be a little bit more stern, and sometimes I feel that us as male nurses, we can convey that. Another thing that kind of is a pet peeve of ours is that as male nurses, they believe that we cannot be compassionate, that we do not have a passion. We don't have empathy. We do not have sympathy for our patients. Now, that does kind of sting a little bit. I've known some great male nurses coming into the field, again, coming into the hospitals. I've found some great male nurses as mentors. I've already talked in a previous video about my friend Sam and my friend Wallace. Both of them really taught me a lot as far as being a male nurse, as far as knowing what I have to do and being compassionate. Sam is really the one that drove home that compassionate feelings for patients. He believes that nursing is the next step to being a clergy. He believes wholeheartedly that this is his calling, and that there's nothing better in the station than helping others. For us to be put into a category where we cannot help, where we cannot really convey emotion, it's rough. I remember hearing about my friend Vicente. He's a male nurse. We went to nursing school together. He ended up coming to the same hospital that I was working at. Great guy, very outgoing. And he actually will take the time in his schedule, even as busy as we are on our days. He would come out and he would talk about a patient, an elderly patient, a patient that was probably terminal. She might not have got out of the hospital, but he stayed with her after his shift. He held her hand, and spoke as much as he can to her. He opened his heart to these people. And when it comes down to it, that as a nurse, you can see the kind of fathers that male nurses can be, the caring, the ability to, open their hearts and really take time to care for a person. The male nurses that I've worked with, I have the utmost respect for them. So that is a hard thing for me to swallow, for when someone says that a nurse cannot be compassionate. I guess another burden / benefit is you are going to be everybody's favorite nurse on the unit because of the fact that you're going to be helping them out. You are the number one person they are going to call to when it comes time for turning that elderly patient or that immobile patient. If you got to help transfer a patient from a bed to a toilet to maybe the wheelchair, helping getting a patient that's kind of a little obese. And here, being in Texas, America, we do have quite a bit of heavy patients, and so the male nurses are going to be the ones that are going to be moving those for the most part. And so we do have the tendency to, you know, have a little bit more injury than the female nurses, but of course we do get a little bit of more acknowledgement when it comes down to that. As far as it goes, I don't mind helping move a patient. I probably try to do that as much as I can, mainly because we have some smaller females that, you know, they just don't have the reach for it more than anything, you know. Not to give any discredit to the female PCAs and nurses. For one, I want to give credit to a PCA that's on my unit. She is over 70 years old, and she can turn a patient and bathe them before anybody else, faster and better than any other staff about a quarter of her age, and she runs circles around us. So I want to give a great shout out to Miss Leanne. You are amazing. But back again, for the most part, we are the ones that are turning. We are the ones that everybody goes to get those ambulations up. And so yeah, we are a favorite, but we do have the issues of you know, getting ourselves hurt if we're not using proper body mechanics. So now I actually want to address one of the elephants in the room that I think comes up a lot, and it's is there equal pay for males and female nurses? And honestly, I have not found any kind of separation where males are getting paid more than the females. A lot of times the females are getting paid a lot more than us males. A lot of it is tenure that comes into play, but where you will see a little bit of a difference, it comes into that overtime hours. Not to say that there isn't females out there that throw in a lot of overtime, but males, we have a tendency to pick up extra shifts. We come in a lot, you know, we will come in 5-6 days, you know, you'll get that overtime, that double time. You know, when it gets busy, we have a tendency to pick it up, mainly because, you know, a lot of us are single. We stay single longer. We don't have children usually, and if it is the children, usually the female stays home. So it's still that family dynamic where we don't mind, you know, having our children at home while we work harder, you know, to provide for our families, to get that extra money. So that might make the gap seem higher when you look at the overall paychecks. What are we getting at the end unit? But hourly, I don't really see anything wrong with that. So don't get that kind of in your head. A lot of people have that kind of that connotation that is a thing, and it really isn't. We have some great female and great male nurses. We all share our workload, you know. So in conclusion, I really just want to say nursing was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And I just want to thank everybody that's been in my life, that has given me guidance and has made me the person I am today. So I want to thank you for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos about nursing, DIY, or just my random adventures that I do around town. And definitely hit a comment down below, and if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, anything else you want me to do, I appreciate you, and thanks for watching.